What's up, guys? Welcome to Break the Chain. I'm sat here today with Rhian Wood-Hill.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I met this guy yesterday in a moment of serendipity in a cafe.
Yeah.
And I spotted that he had a lifeline shirt on, which is a suicide crisis helpline.
It is, yeah.
So I thought I'd ask him about that in interest, and we got chatting. I found out that he's a stand-up comedian. He does stand-up. I think you actually won 2 awards. Best comedian... Wellington Award is the Nelson Fringe Award.
Oh, best comedy at the Nelson Fringe.
Comedy.
So that's the show I did, my hour-long show
that
won that award, and I don't know what the other one.
How I Met Your Father.
Yes,
that's the name of the show.
Yeah.
You know when you hear about a comedian and it's this real hit and miss with comedy, and you're like, oh, I've met this guy and I'll be keen to have a chat with him. Oh, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah.
So,
you've watched it?
I've watched it. And I watched it, and I was just like. It's actually all right, and it's like a relief. Like this is actually
I'm relieved that it's all right. Yeah,
some bad comedians out there.
Yeah,
you're not
100%.
No,
thank God, thank you.
And the other award was that best improved. Improvement.
Most improved, which I, as a rule,
that's good, isn't it?
As a rule, I think the most improved is like the shittest award because you think about the most improved in any I'm not talking about just my one, but like in any way, because. It just says you've improved a lot. It doesn't mean that you've improved to be better than anyone else. It's just that out of you may have been the worst, and you could still be the worst, but be the most improved. You know what I mean? It doesn't actually mean anything as an award. But yeah, it's really nice. Thank you very much for giving it to me. But yeah.
Either way, the show's good. So check it out. It's on YouTube. How I Met My Father.
Sweet.
Yeah, cool. You're obviously someone who gets bored very easily.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of hobbies and professions as such. So the other one is professional gambler.
Yep.
And I've heard some things and some stories about that which we'll get to later. That's a fairly interesting profession and dangerous.
Very dangerous, yeah.
I know if I was a gambler, it'd be like, with my sort of mentality, it'd be like, right, I'm going to sell everything red or black.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Some dude did that. Some dude...
Did he win?
Yeah, he won. Yeah, he won.
I'll do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you see. That's the thing. That's not gambling at that point. That's just genuine self-sabotage. You know what I mean? You would do it again because you won. It's bizarre that your instinct is to go, "Oh, I'll do it again then." Because that's my instinct too. That definitely is my instinct too. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And the other thing that you do as a part-time profession is you actually work at a suicide helpline.
Oh, it's kind of so. I work with them a lot. So there's about 3 or 4 comedians who really do so. I will do 1 or 2 big events for them a year. I don't actually work on the lines for them mainly because I don't think this is where I can help them. I can help them by getting financial benefit. I'm not a trained counsellor. I don't pretend to be a mental health expert in that respect. But I don't actually work for them in that regard. I am kind of ambassadorship for them. Yeah.
So what is it that you actually do for them?
We'll just whenever we come up. There's about 3 of us who work specifically with Lifeline quite a lot, which is Corey Gonzalez-McCurr, who you may know from a movie called What We Do in the Shadows. It's a very famous.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, Taika Waititi, the director, just won a Oscar yesterday for another movie. Yeah. Really. So he was in that, and he's a very famous New Zealand and very good stand-up comedian. Yeah. And the other one is a guy called Guy Williams, who is on TV over here as well. I'm the lesser-known one, who has to do stupid things to get recognised. But those 2 and me, we work a lot with Lifeline. And what we do is we just, whenever one of us kind of comes up with an idea, we kind of work on a show. So last year, Guy and I did a show in Rotorua for Mental Health Awareness Week, and the year before, Corey flew down to Wellington with a couple of other performers off their own back, and we put on a massive show at the San Fran Bathhouse for Lifeline. So we do a big show once a year, and then last year I did the walk, which was the big thing that I did.
I've heard about the big. We'll talk about the walk.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that was a bit high on there. Look, I reckon we'll just we'll send that down a little bit. Look,
sweet.
We can see your face now.
Okay. No, I don't know if that's going to be helpful, but yeah.
So you told me a bit about your walk. It's bordering on obscene.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what you did?
Yeah. Basically, like there'll be a lot of backstory having to go back afterwards, which we'll go over. But the walk itself was I walked from Wellington to Auckland via Wanganui and Napier. So that's zigzagging. For those who are not from New Zealand, that's zigzagging across it, the North Island. Basically, in the hopes to walk 500 miles to see the Proclaimers play the song, which is the worst joke, and it's 6 weeks of my life to be able to say I did that joke. It's so stupid. It's like, you know what I mean? Like when you get halfway through a project, you're like, oh, this isn't worth the payoff. But like it's 3 weeks more to go before you get to the...
Only halfway in you realise that.
Oh, well, actually, day one. Day one, I was 20 kgs heavier than I am now. So I went in with no fitness levels. So I went in at 95 kgs, about 95 kgs, a smoker, and no training.
Yeah.
And just on the first day, started walking without any kind of real plan of where I wanted to get to. And I got to 25 k's in first day, and I realised I hadn't actually got shoes that worked properly. So day 2 was to stop for a day to get shoes that worked, and then back on day 3. Oh, man. Yeah, I was so disorganised. So yeah, it was brutal. That was so brutal the first 2 weeks. Yeah.
It sounds like we've got a little bit in common. I'm not quite that mad.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
I cycled from John O'Groats to Land's End, which is around... It's the very north point of the UK to the bottom. And... I'd never ridden a road bike before, so I bought one of them, and then I had to go on that for the first time, and it's just like, oh my god, and the brakes are like, it's like they barely work. That was one thing, so I went and had 2 little laps around on that, and then the night before we went to set off, I went to not quite a rave, but more or less a rave.
Yeah.
Did a load of drugs, got hardly any sleep.
Yeah.
Completely did myself in, and then got in my mate's van, and he drove me up to the top of Scotland, and I couldn't even stay awake on the way up there. Got off and got onto my bike, and sort of like in Scotland, and the wind was just in my face, and it was like the Highlands, so it's like it's like probably like New Zealand. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've spent some time in the UK, and that's insane because like. That is, your roads are narrower, or your country roads are narrower than ours. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything is more dangerous in the UK to do that.
I feel like it's really similar here, but I was on a bike.
Yeah,
and it goes faster.
Yeah, but you're on a bike.
Yeah.
Like I'm on my legs that I'm used to my entire life. You decide. That's insane to me. Were you a cyclist as a kid?
Oh, I ride bikes and stuff. I'm happy on bikes.
Okay. So you're relatively comfortable.
What was stupid on my part was the way I went into it.
Yeah.
And the amount of ignorance that I had, which I imagine was similar.
Oh, extraordinarily similar. I got like a week in, and I stopped at a friend's house who was a tramper in Palmerston. Oh, it must have been 10 days in Palmerston North. And he looked through my bag and goes, "Oh, you're not ready for this at all." And I'm 10 days already in. And he goes, "That's unnecessary." And he went through my bag and just like I'd packed about 25 kgs of unnecessary stuff, and then he just repacked 10 kgs of stuff that I needed. Yeah. So I'd been carrying 15 kgs on my back for no apparent reason. Yeah. But I think by the end of the walk, it was at about 18 is what I was able to carry every day. I was carrying around every day.
That's a lot.
Yeah, well, 22 at the start of the day, 18 by the end of it with water. You know, the water, you drink it, it's not... and you know, so it feels like a lot heavier, and then throughout the day, because you're drinking all the water, that's like less weight, so that really helps as well.
You was carrying a tent though, wasn't you?
Yeah.
And that just blows my mind. So I know for me the worst thing was, well, I knew what I had to do is you've done this big day of exercise, you're knackered, you're so tired, and then the thought of setting up a tent, getting clean somewhere, it's just...
I mean, that one just went out the window though. Like I think I went 6 days easily without a shower. Yeah, easy.
That's the difference between it being like a thing you're doing that's difficult, like really difficult, and like super challenging, is that bit that you've got no choice, but you have to get that done at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, 100% with putting the tent up. Yeah, that was, and I didn't have a good tent. You know what I mean? Like, my poles were broken before I set off. So, like, they weren't even all, you know, the elasticated stuff inside them to make them, that had broken. So I was having to put it all together by hand every night.
Yeah.
Yeah. sometimes in the dark. Once was the worst was in the dark without a torch because my torch had died and both my phone and the iPad I had with me had both died as well. So I was doing it completely in the dark. That was insane. That was so hard. It was after I walked across the Manawatu Gorge throughout the day, and that's only about a 5 or 6k. I think it's a 12k walk that bit, but I also walked 10k's to get there at the start. So it was like, but it was over hill and like it was a beautiful walk. But then I finished in the dark because I mistimed it and I didn't. Didn't know where I was staying, and that was creepy. That was really stupid.
I bet while you was doing that, you got some serious support and backing behind you.
Yeah.
While you was doing that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure. I just friends and family, like and small little gestures you don't think about. They probably didn't think about, but were massive for me. Like just one of my friends, a guy called Adam, he's another comic. He one night he'd seen that I slept rough the night beforehand because one night I couldn't even put my tent up because there wasn't I'd run out of energy in a place that there was not even a field nearby. So it was all just dense forest. So I just slept in between the two layers of the tent, using them like as a blanket kind of thing. And he heard about this, and he looked at the next town I was going to. He just texted me where the next town was, and then I that's all. So I was like, I'm going to Tai Happy or wherever it was next. And next minute I had an email saying you've confirmed a hotel booking. So he just bought me a hotel room. Whoa. And like it's $60 for him, but like it was a massive deal for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like it was amazing.
I had a similar thing when I got to Glasgow, and I'd done like 120 Ks or something. I was absolutely just dead, and I sort of got in there and I was sort of like dark. It was like 10 at night or something. And I was just like, I picked up my phone and I rang about, 10, 15 places for somewhere to stay, and it was just like, we're full. And I just had to keep calling until eventually someone's like, oh, we're full. And I'm like, oh, we've had a cancelled booking. Oh, you can have this room for like basically free, like, if you want it. I was like, you know, and just like that feeling of just like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
oh man. Yeah. Absolutely.
You feel looked after.
Yeah. The best story of that for this walk was in Taupo, just outside of Taupo. I'd been walking from Taupo that day. I made about 35k, and I hadn't planned it well, and it was a night that I had.
That's one day, 35k.
Yeah, that was about the 32 was about the average.
Yeah.
I think the biggest city was 40. I was really gutted. I stopped 2k short of the marathon. I was like, I should have just done a marathon that day. You know what I mean? Like, it's just annoying. But like, So again, it was too dark, and I hadn't figured out a place to sleep. But I was just like resting, and it was sunset. You know, so I saw it about 45 minutes to kind of make my way down the road to find a place kind of that was a bit secure and private. But I was just resting on this guy's fence, like outside of this big homestay kind of farm. And he pulls up, this guy pulls up with a mullet, you know what I mean? Like a proper bogan, like farmer dude, like real gruff, you know, young, maybe 30-year-old guy. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just having a rest and going to walk and keep on going and to find a place to put my tent up. He's like, oh, I can put it up on my lawn. Just stop here for the night. I was like, sweet, thanks. He drove me up to his place, and he's like, don't worry about actually putting up the tent. You just sleep on the couch. It's fine. And made me a meal. It was amazing. That was that's just kind of genuine behaviour. But then I found out, like, just chatting to him, that whilst he was doing this for me, his wife and his child were up getting leukemia treatments. His 2-year-old daughter, son, was it the son or the daughter? The son has it, the daughter doesn't. The son was getting cancer treatments, and he was like just helping out a random stranger, like at the same time, like that kind of generosity to like have this horrible event going on in your own thing, and still take time to go, I can help this guy out. You know what I mean? I was just amazed, blown over by that.
These things. Does make you think. These things do break you down to a point where you start to think, and you know, it does make you so much more compassionate. I know that in my case and what I went through that led me to doing that specific event, you know, they broke me down, and they're for sure the reason why I'm sat here today with you.
Yeah.
You know, what was it that inspired you to do that walk?
it's a 3 parts. Okay. I know this is a podcast, so I feel bad saying I'm sorry to press it's a long story, but essentially there's 2 parts to it. There's my own dealings with mental health.
Knew that was going to go. We said it, didn't we?
Yeah. My own dealings with mental health. A spate of suicides in my teenage years in my area, and then my sister's passing. My sister's suicide. Those 3 things led to it. Now, that's the bullet point version, but I'll explain in a better way, which is I did a show that where we talked about how I met my father, which is about meeting my dad when I was 21. So I met my biological father for the first time when I was 21. And because part of the story that I tell in this show is because I didn't meet him, I didn't get to meet my extended siblings, like my half siblings from his side, because I knew about them, but I didn't know them, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have any contact with him, so I had no way of contacting them. And then, so I had this pretty horrific kind of mental breakdown in my first year of university when I broke my leg, my mum's cancer came back, quite a significantly high-profile court case in New Zealand's history. I'm doing this for privacy reasons for my family because it's not my story to tell.
Yeah. But
there was a rather large, famous criminal case in New Zealand history that very much affected my family. I'll tell you off here, but and so that was going on at the same time as and this was happening in my first year break that this happened. What else? Then I got a phone call saying that I needed to return back to do some stuff around this court case. That, by the way, none of my family was actually involved. They were the victims of. Whilst I was driving back in the middle of the night through snow from like a holiday with my friends, that I wasn't really able to participate in because of my broken leg. I got a phone call from the girl. I first said I love you. The girlfriend I had at the time, I'd said I love you too for the first time. She was breaking up via text, saying that she was back with her ex, and so that was pretty devastating. And then I got back to university after all this stuff and the court trial had happened, and my first day back at university, I got a phone call from my half-brother that I'd never spoken to before. I'd spoken to once before when I was 10, and it was just hey, it's Xavier, your half-brother. Maria, your sister, has died. She's killed herself. And that was the phone call. There's a bit more of a phone call, but that was about it. And that kind of, those 5 quite major events, all happening within the space of 3 weeks, kind of just broke me. And I didn't go back to university. Like, I was at university halls of residence, but I was just drinking every day, not getting out of bed, just full on depression. And I didn't realize because it was 2009 and it didn't feel like a bigger. It seems bizarre, but I didn't realize that was depression at the time.
Yeah, it's strange until you actually know what things are.
Yeah, it was only until I realized when I was diagnosed at 24 with depression that I realized that I've had it since I was 19 because of that, those 5 incidents culminating. And so what this brought us to do is that I did this show about all these incidents and meeting my dad and my sister. And the sister part was really gutting because every time I got to that part, I felt like I was telling a story that wasn't mine. Because she was still my sister, but I never met her. So it's a real balance, you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit of a balancing act there. And it was about the same time as my show came out, is that the national government decided our version of the Tories. So, putting it in context, was in power at the time, and they cut all funding to this organisation, Lifeline.
Yeah.
And so it felt like I was benefiting of my sister's suicide at the same time as Lifeline was literally losing their funding. So I felt like I had to kind of give some of that money back in some way because I had a relatively successful national tour with this show. There needs to be a way of giving this money back, and that's why I did this walk. Yeah. And that walk was obviously a drunken bet as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
your life sounds like one of them lives where it's just like, and you do come across them fairly regularly, where it's like, it seems so bad that it just can't be true, you know?
Yeah, but it's only like pinpricks in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's a few people, but it depends on your mind and how you relate with that.
Absolutely.
Because them events could control everything, always. And I know so many people who actually have stories like this when it's like, how can it be this bad? How can these things have all added up together and made this like it just seems impossible. It does.
I remember, like, mine's, and I that's the issue is with telling these stories, is that there's a bit of one-upmanship, you know what I mean? Like, everyone, like, especially with depression, everyone's going to tell you these are slightly worse. And I with my one, I always feel like I'm almost a backseat player to my own depression, if that makes sense. Like it was actions around me that weren't really to do with me that caused it. And so I've always felt like a background player to it.
You felt like you're sort of there just observing all these bad things, that they are happening not directly to you, but
exactly.
but still two things that you are attached to, which you know, when you're attached to something, it still is happening to you.
Yeah. But like it's weird to feel like you're the one losing out when it's, you know, it's your sister who's died, or it's your mum with cancer, or it's, you know what I mean? Like, it was all those kind of things. It's like, well, how do you, like, and that's the reason I don't think I really thought of myself as having depression at 19, is because how can I be the one with depression when everyone else is the ones having to deal with it? Sorry, I thought I turned this off. But I think, and the other part that obviously I was trying to talk to you about as well was, when I was 18, a kid I went to school with and made videos with, you know, when you were like 12, like we spent a summer making movies, you know, that's what we wanted to be. He wanted to be, he was the actor and I was the filmmaker. I wanted to be a director. And he committed suicide at the same time. As about within 2 weeks, there was 2 other kids in my very small village. There was 3,000. I come from a village of 3,000 people, and we had 3 kids, all about 18, commit suicide within 3 weeks. Yeah, all boys, all in that age. You know, that classic men's age group. Yeah, and so that one shook me a little bit, but not as much as the rest of the other stuff. And it's just, you know, that's always been a pinprick, but like, it's that mental health awareness around suicide of men especially is scary for me.
It's so obvious and so apparent that it's just, in my case, it's like how I've lost 7 friends to suicide.
That's insane, man.
And this is like friends that I know, that I've spent a lot of time with, and then in extended friend groups, it's just wild.
Yeah.
You know, I come from a background of drug and a lot of addiction.
Yeah.
And, you know, general people who are like super lost.
Yeah.
But like super lost people who have found belonging through something that's like really destroying them.
Yeah.
And it's just spiralling downwards and downwards. And my friend recently went to a funeral from a friend, and she says you can just see this divide, and the ones who've like sort of got away from these things and the ones who haven't, and the bright eyed that have got away, and the dull, and they're just so dull, and it's just it's like something absolutely drastic had to be done about this, in my opinion, to the best of what I can do. And you know, everybody I think can do something in their own way, like you say. I mean, sitting on a phone, answering those phone calls, that's some hardcore shit. Yeah,
absolutely. And I take my hat off to, because I've been into they're very kind to me, though. Lifeline, they're really amazing people, and they when I got to Auckland on my walk, I actually literally walked on my last day to the Lifeline place. Yeah. That wasn't the end point, but it was like it was the second I stopped there, to celebrate with them, and they showed me around. It was really cool being shown around and getting to meet all the teams and not. I didn't listen to any calls because that's really inappropriate and, you know, it's someone's private thing. But just to be around those people and watch, they're bizarrely happy all the time. Those people, you know, having to listen to those calls, but they feed off each other's happy energy, you know, and they have counsellors there for themselves, and they have some rough situations themselves. Those guys, because Lifeline specifically have offices in Auckland and Christchurch, and so all of their Christchurch staff have dealt not only with the trauma of dealing with people on the phones, but also the trauma of going through a mass shooting in their city and massive earthquakes within the last 10 years. And so they're dealing with those people who've also been affected by that trauma, which is a massive deal, especially in New Zealand. Those two things have really ramped up.
Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just after the mosque shootings, people don't really talk about this, but after the mosque shootings, there was a massive spike in suicide attempts in Canterbury region. So, like, there's a huge, like, there was a massive amount that these guys had to put themselves through, and they did it. And it was incredible to see these people without all they're volunteering to do this.
It's really interesting how the people that are doing that, I mean, that they're happy, and that's I mean, what I talk about a lot is service. Obviously, human connection, generally connecting and service, and like making that your mentality, being prepared to do that, and not being attached to happiness and sadness and these things, and letting it all go. And it's really interesting how these people who are doing such a noble and wonderful service that anybody would expect that if you did that, you would be really messed up from it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's things that they go through that are super challenging, but for you to say that they're not, and they are actually happy.
Well, they're not. I mean, they're humans. They're absolutely humans. They deal with, like, I'm sure that they're not happy all the time, but the mentality to kind of go and do that stuff, and when you're around them, like, I mean, they may have been putting on a front, I don't know, but, like, to me, they seem genuinely happy, good people wanting to do the best by people, and that's a pretty impressive thing. And yeah, to me, and there's a youth line, so these young kids at this thing who take calls from other kids. That's amazing to me that they've got those kind of systems in place, and they've got obviously amazing tutors behind them to help them out with that stuff. But it's incredible to me that there's people like as young as 15 willing to help another friend out on the phone and just be like, "I'll be here for you. I don't know who you are, but yeah, those people are amazing." Yeah. So give them money, please. Give them these kind of people money.
That's lifeline.
Yeah, or not just them, just any kind of
anyone who's doing that.
Yeah, like, I mean, a Lifeline, and I have talked about this before, like, a Lifeline is a pure convenience one for me because the underlining issue is that they are under an umbrella of an organisation that is a religious organisation, which I don't particularly have an issue with, but I don't particularly want to support as well. But because they're the most, in New Zealand, they're that synonymous with suicide awareness. Like, if you're feeling depressed, everyone knows of Lifeline. That's the one that everyone knows of. I'm sure. What's the one in the UK that everyone?
Mind, Calm. There's a couple.
Yeah, but there's the one that everyone goes.
Mind and Calm.
Yeah,
one of those.
Yeah, everyone knows, and a few years ago they gave all the funding to another organisation, which is a fantastic organisation, but they don't have that name recognition. So I need to help support the name recognition, because if people can't get on the phones to the people that they know to call, which has happened recently, there have been people being put on hold for 20 minutes trying to get on hold of Lifeline, then that's not okay.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, so it's taking, for me specifically with Lifeline, it was taking myself away from just going, I don't care that it's a religious organisation, just got to give the best, that was a big part for me. I've forgotten what the actual question was, because I went on a tangent then.
I have as well. That was quite a long time ago.
Yes!
I felt like we went up to about 10 topics since I asked that question.
Yeah.
Let's talk suicide and addiction are two of the sort of the biggest things that I talk about.
Yep.
We've covered suicide pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I for me they're intrinsically linked, and also addiction's interesting. I'm fascinated by it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
My massive addiction, I've got a few. I smoke. I'm still a smoker. I don't think I've got a dependency to weed, but I'd be close to. Like, I'd have it once or twice a week. But my major one was always gambling. So I played poker, which I'd never really considered gambling, which is silly, right? But because there's a math-based... if you play poker for a living, you do understand that if you're a better player over a long period of time, you will win. Like, it's because you're not playing a casino, there's no edge in that way. Your edge is against the other player. So if you're more intelligent and you're better at probability and basic math, you will beat that other person. Here's the issue, is that if you are relatively smart and have an ego like I have, you can convince yourself that you're smarter than you actually are, and then you put yourself in situations, and then you get yourself into a bit of a hole, and in that hole, because your ego's telling you're like, don't be silly, I'm bright. You up the stakes and you gamble on other things because you're losing monies at the thing that you thought you'd be winning in it, and eventually it will break down on you. And that's what happened to me and the guy I was doing it with. Is that we probably were good poker players. He was better than I was, but we weren't quite good enough to make it full time. And we tried to push the issue in a thing that you probably shouldn't push the issue in, which is gambling. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, we ended up in a bit of a hole, and it again was another one of the reasons, like, I think I got myself better for a little, not got myself better, I did have my depression under control for a little while until the gambling snuck back in.
So that really screwed with your mental health, did it? The gambling, the addiction?
Yeah, 100%. I was living in Australia, in Brisbane, and I was playing every night at the Treasury Casino, and it was great, but at the same time, but we were gambling huge amounts of money as well, like, on unnecessary things, not just poker. Like, we used to play games like credit card roulette, where at the start of a night, you'd be out with the lads, there are 8 guys out, and at the first bar you go to, we'd literally go to the waiter, which card. They'd pick a card, they'd put the tab for the rest of the night on that card. Yeah,
so just gambling with everything.
Gambling with everything. Like, I racked up an $1,800 on one night out doing that. It's so much money. The most we ever saw was like $3,500. Like, because as soon as you knew, and because we would gamble irresponsibly as well, we would do it at the start of the night. So as soon as you knew it wasn't your card, you'd feel happy as enough to get river vodkas and the top shelf whiskies and stuff like that. Yeah. But
that just sounds horrendous. That just sounds like it. I mean, the thing with most drug addictions, is it sort of takes time to happen. I mean, you don't know it happened until one day you're like, oh, I've done drugs every day for 6 years, and it's like, oh, when's the last time I didn't do this? But with gambling, I feel like it's like you can start. And you can just go 0 to 100 in just like
time. I was pretty gradual, but I know people who are. Like I started by playing a couple of like home games, and then like friends games, and then playing a bit of pub poker, and then built into the point that I started playing online, like significant amount of money, and then actually online was never significant. It was like between $1,000 and under was the buy-ins, and then live would be. Between $200 and $1,500 buy-ins, and so I gradually built into it. But like I knew people who got a taste for like the pokies, and then would be in there every night, and that's the danger. That's where it gets dangerous.
I've seen that. I mean, I know nothing about gambling apart from it's really dangerous and it can happen fast. But like, what's ironic is that I was in Brisbane when I observed that, and I observed someone who had like a super good job, just seemed to have it all sort of really together, had a house, and then just absolutely smashing his money in the pokies, flat out, to the point where he nearly lost his house and relationships, and and then alcohol seemed to get worse because of the depression, and and I think that the alcohol and the pokies seem to go together.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have them really in England, right?
Pokies is like slot
machines. It's a slot machine, but you don't even have... You have fruit machines, kind of. Like, that's about it, really, right? You can't gamble really in a pub, can you?
Not properly. You put a quid in, you might win 30, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but if you put a quid in a pub... But can you continuously put the quid in?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not an expert on gambling, but I think so.
Yeah, but like, so I'll just put it in context. In New Zealand and Australia, we have those slot machines that you see in Vegas movies in pubs, which is insane. Yeah. It's insane because they're just made, those lights and flashing lights are made literally to make your brain explode with like endorphins. Yeah. So even though you're losing money, you're seeing bright flashy lights go and you're like, oh my God, this is good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and literally designed to take your money. So for every roll in New Zealand, I think that the maths is that for every dollar you spin on a slot machine in New Zealand, you lose 17 cents expected value.
Well, the entire sort of pub establishment is designed to filter you into that.
Yes.
Usually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as bad here as Australia.
No.
Every pub has a massive section for pokies and gambling, where they're just trying to get people in, and the people are in there, and they're just putting all their money into them constantly. I mean, it's just it's a really bizarre one. Like I have arguments about this all the time because those pokies are one of the biggest funders of the arts in New Zealand. Yeah. Because all that money cannot be. None of that money. All that money is charitable trust money. So so the one thing about the pokies in New Zealand and Australia is that they can't be for profit. Well, they make money for the bars, but obviously because they're rented in there. Yeah.
But they don't make any money off the actual financial what is given to them. All that money is collected and then given out to charitable trusts within New Zealand. So it's divvied out. So like
good or bad?
Yeah.
Strange one, that.
It's a strange one because it's a very strange one when you apply for grants as an artist like I am, and you know that you're taking money off gambling addicts. And so I don't take those. So there's a few of them that I don't take. But I know a lot of people who flat out refuse to take anything from any of them because it's really detrimental to themselves. But they're also, like myself, Pacific Island. So the other thing you need to probably know is, so I'm Samoan. Yeah.
You have to tell them where Samoa is.
Yeah, Samoa is this Pacific Island. The Rock. You know, The Rock? The Rock, he's Samoan. I am not looking like that, but I am Samoan. Like, so I'm half of that. But I got all of the whiteness. Yeah. But like, there's a huge epidemic of a gambling addiction in Samoa, or Pacific Island culture within New Zealand. And so a lot of that money I know has just come straight from the lowest bands of of the socioeconomic brands. So we got, and it's all coming from them. So it's not like you're taking from the rich gamblers and giving to the poor. You're taking from the poor and giving it to other poor. It's a bizarre system. I
had a realisation as a drug dealer where I realised that at one point, after doing it for like 4 years or so, and I realised that I was literally taking my friends' money out of their pocket and putting it into my pocket so that they would buy drugs and use that drugs, and then they've got nothing left and no money.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just getting me loads of money for I'm basically using my friends.
Yeah.
I didn't
Were you addicted at the time yourself?
I was addicted.
Were you actually making loads of money, or were you actually funding your own habit more than anything?
Funding my own habit. That's how it starts. It starts like, you start with, you try it and it's like, oh, this is fun. And then you start doing it a bit more often, and then you start doing it quite often. You're like, oh, I can't afford this at all.
Yeah.
And then you sell a bit, and it's free, and you're not selling it for the money.
No, you're just getting the free drugs. Yeah.
And then you realise that you can get the money. You're like, oh, the money's nice, so you do it a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you do it for the free drugs and for the money.
Yeah.
And then, I suppose you always do. I mean, as an addict, the drugs are the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because they're number one, above everything else. When you're an addict, that is number one.
Yeah.
That's the nature of
100%.
the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, with the gambling, would you say that you've got that under wraps now?
In the sense that I haven't gambled in a year and a half, yes.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, everyone who ever says they're an addict, I'm not cured. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So
completely
I do feel like, I like, well, but a lot of it is not due to self-control, but due to a couple of, there is really good things done in the gambling site. Like, for instance, gambling websites you can self-ban yourself from them.
Right. That's a good idea.
Which, so even in a moment of weakness, they won't let you back on. If you email them going, no, mate, I'm good now, they won't let you on for 5 years even. Yeah. So, like, I've put those things in place, so I can't gamble online, which is great. And then, I just stopped going to the poker games I used to go to, and I do find it hard to walk past a pokey machine when I'm drunk. I do find that hard if I've got coins in my pocket. Not if I've got, but like that's about it. That's about the level I do struggle. Like going, like I have to kind of keep myself mind active when I'm drunk at bars. But
keep yourself and be a little bit wise with you plan things a bit better. I mean, obviously you've had to make some really big changes and completely restructure your life to suit that by making these decisions to ban yourself from these sites. And
yeah. By the time that I got to that point, poker was a hobby that was an addiction hobby. It wasn't what I was trying to make my living, and I was literally just decimating my own bank accounts, playing at too high levels. But so I'd work throughout the days as a travel agent, and then come home at night and gamble away the money I'd earned. Yeah. So that's the level it got to.
Yeah.
So it did. That was a lifestyle change when I moved that, and it kind of happened at the same time as when I found comedy.
What? Sorry.
Comedy. Yeah. Those two things very closely connected in terms of my break off. I found something to do with my time that was not gambling. And that was to go to a comedy club every single night and learn from other comics and write and try and get up on stage and, do that and just hang around with comics. I mean, I still drank every night, and all that stuff. So there was other addictions and smoked and all this other stuff that weren't going away, but it meant that I wasn't away from the pokies and the gambling and the friends who gambled. So
I think surprisingly the alcohol... And certainly the cigarettes are actually more stable than gambling.
Oh, 100%.
Which seems mental because alcohol's like the least stable thing ever.
Yeah.
But to say that it's more stable than gambling, it just seems so volatile.
That's the one drug I've never really had an issue with is alcohol. So like I've been very lucky in that respect that I've never particularly like I'll drink and I'll get drunk, but it's never been my drug of choice. My drugs of choice have always been uppers and a bit of weed. But the alcohol dependency has never really been a problem for me. Yeah. The cigarettes have been an issue, very much so, and weed recently has become more of an issue that I need to look at, and need to address. But the alcohol's never been a massive. Like I've got a binge problem, like most people, but not an addictive problem. Yeah. But the other drugs was an interesting one because whilst playing poker in Australia, the guy I was with doing this got addicted to ice, which is meth, essentially, right? Yeah, I did, and I didn't realise. I lived with him. I played poker with him every day, and I didn't notice that he'd started smoking ice.
Yeah, you get real good at hiding that.
It's crazy how good addicts are at hiding shit like that, and it's crazy how good I was at hiding that I was a gambling addict. You know what I mean? You become such a good manipulator of people, really easily.
You don't even know you're doing it.
No,
it's just built in. It just becomes built in neurologically. You just the way you act. Like I know that when I was on drugs all the time, you get white stuff around your nose.
Yeah,
I just never look at anyone. I'd just be like looking away and talking. I just talked to them as I was walking away. Really weird behaviour. Something like, what's wrong with this guy? Just like not really a lot of eye contact and just sort of you just knew how to manoeuvre and operate. People.
Yeah, I definitely because when gambling started going downhill in Australia and he started getting into ice, I didn't see. I was just very naive when it comes to this stuff. We started selling drugs on the side, some acid and stuff like that, just to make it go. And I never made that connection between him and the ice. But when the acid is really interesting. Is that when I was because we're getting acid on massive sheets, 2CB. Do you remember 2CB? Yeah. These massive sheets of it for $400 for a sheet of 100. So we're buying them for $4 a pop and being able to sell them for 25. It's ridiculous. But we had such a big stash of these for ourselves that you found yourself taking acid like once or twice a week. No, not even more than that. 3 or 4 times a week you're taking acid. Or 2CB.
That'd be pretty weird.
And it got insane. It just got... Yeah, and you found yourself in normal situations feeling like, I'm just going to drop a tab of this. You know what I mean? Like, you're just out in the middle of the day and you're like, nah, this will make this day better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I mean, the money especially is not healthy.
No.
And with gambling, I'm sure you get these big influxes of cash. And
Yeah.
it'd be like, you feel like a rock star, don't you? For a bit, it's like a weekend or maybe even more than a weekend.
Yeah, like some of the runs we could go on were significant. You know what I mean? We could be flush with cash for like 20 or 30 grand for like a little wee while, and then that would go, and then you'd be down 10 grand, and then like
that creates a problem though, doesn't it? In the sense that it's like, okay, how am I going to get out of this? I'm gonna have to be prepared to give up this money for sure.
Yeah.
And this lifestyle and everything that goes with having that money for a bit.
But as I said, I wasn't good enough to be like earning that money on a consistent basis, and also not only that, like there's things in gambling. I don't want to bore you with this, but if there's any people in there who are watching, poker, things like that, they will be waiting for me to say these words. Like I had poor bankroll management, which means that I wasn't. Like, so with gambling, if you're doing it for a living, you're supposed to do it really sensibly. So, like, say I have $100 to get, that's how much money I own, right? And I'm a professional gambler. Mm. Every time I gamble, it shouldn't be the 100 I gamble. I should be gambling like $1 of that. So every game I play is $1.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be putting all your eggs in one basket. Like I'm gonna, we're talking about like I'm gonna flip this coin with all of my life savings on the account.
Yeah.
And we were getting up to the point of playing games that were way too high, and that was the big issue. Is that we were playing a lot of our the money we had would be on the table at one time, which is really bad form as a professional. Gambler. But yeah, so all these things we're doing it all wrong. We're doing everything wrong, and so it wasn't hard to walk away from the money as much because we weren't good at it. Like we weren't good enough to be like we had decent runs, but like it was a year and a half, and we were scraping by for most of that. Yeah. So like it wasn't hard. It was hard. The hard part of walking away from it, for me specifically, was walking away from my ego, saying that I really failed at this thing. That was really hard and really embarrassing to say. Yeah. That was the hard bit. That I was almost willing to go to the end with that. You know what I mean? Like I was willing to like go homeless almost. I was almost willing to go to that level because my ego was like I was unwilling to call my parents and say, "All right, yeah, I'm so screwed."
Yeah.
I was, because they've been helping me out for years, and they still help me out a little bit, like, because I've chosen another career that's ridiculously fucking stupid, like comedy. But I didn't want them to see me in that bad a state, addiction-wise, and that almost that level of ego and almost embarrassment led me almost to homelessness.
Yeah.
Like within 2 weeks, I would have been homeless. Yeah. Yeah.
All addictions will send you to the same place, doesn't it? I mean, it doesn't really matter what form it manifests in, does it? Whether it's drugs or alcohol or whatever. I mean, they're all going to send you.
I mean, I think that people are addicted to coffee a little bit easier. Those people who say, there's some. Like those people who are addicted to hot foods, they've probably got it a bit easier. It's a legitimate addiction, but they've got it a bit easier. But all addiction. I was having this argument because this might be a bit of a controversial point for your podcast, but what do you define an addiction as?
An addiction is when something starts having negative impacts on things around you. So you can't get addicted to good stuff. Addiction's not something where you do it all the time. You can't get addicted to something that's healthy. It only becomes an addiction when it actually has negative impacts on your life.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, I totally agree with that. But, I guarantee we both know people who take recreational drugs on a very regular basis, and it doesn't affect their lives, and they keep it together. Would you still call them an addict if they need it?
It's a scale, isn't it?
Exactly right.
They're not on the extreme. I'm sure if someone had an addiction to hot food on a really extreme.
Well, no, I mean like recreational drugs. We all have mates who seem to play that line well, who are on drugs a lot.
I think we're lucky because I think Russell Brand says this. It's like when you've had an addiction like smack, or what we've experienced, where it's like forced us into backed us up into a corner that's so dark and so nasty that it's given us like you have to do something about it. You need to take action, and it really highlights, okay, this is addiction, black and white. This is what it looks like. Yeah. This is you. This is what you're doing. You have to sort this out. Yeah. And people who are addicted to hot food and coffee. And all these other things, and arguing or I don't know, lying.
Running, you know, it's like the endorphins, they become addicted to the endorphins. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Do you, I don't know if you've talked about this on your podcast, but do you come from a familial background of addiction?
I think everybody does, but not my parents are workaholics.
Okay, so for me, my mum and my stepdad, my mum's got addictive personality. She's addictive, she'll drink lots of Diet Coke and things like that. No really bad habits, but they're bad habits, but they're not really illegal or harmful bad habits. She's a goody good. But my biological dad, he's a massive addict. He's had every addiction under the sun, and that's where. So that's where I get it from mainly, I think. I don't necessarily think that it comes through so hereditary. I mean, partly I think yes. I mean, that addiction and that uncomfortability I find just comes from a really cold, dark void inside. Yeah. That you just have to put something in there. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
I think that I can see why your family history would have, I've known people who've not known their fathers many times.
The thing I say about that is that people might hear that and go, oh, well, you can't really blame someone who wasn't around. I didn't know that he was an addicted person. I knew that he was in jail for drugs and jail for things. So I knew all this stuff, so I knew about his addictions growing up. So I had that kind of seed planted in my head that I'm like, oh, I'm going to become an addict of some description. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean by that, sorry. But yeah, it's bizarre. Yeah, I tend to think that addiction, it comes from when people are missing something in their lives. But the question to me is whether or not is I still struggle trying to figure out what I want to fill that void with. You know what I mean? I still struggle every day trying to figure out if I look at people in some situations and go, how do you do that every day without drugs or alcohol or something to take the edge off? You know what I mean?
I think that's the entire point of being here, is figuring out what goes in that void, because I personally don't believe it's material things.
Yeah.
I can go really deep on that and we can go real far out.
Yeah.
But, I do spiritual practices, and that is how... Through putting that in there.
Yeah.
This is the point about the guys on the telephone in the suicide helpline. Those guys are in there just giving.
Yeah.
They don't take in nothing from that,
yeah.
And what they're getting, they're giving love.
Yeah.
They're just giving.
Yeah.
That's making them happy, because that's actually love is a transcendental thing. It's not a material thing.
Yeah.
And it's not self-centered.
No, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, it's an interesting thing is, because I'm not a spiritual person. That's the interesting thing for me, is I'm not a spiritual person. So I can't get myself around to that thing, that way. And I still struggle with finding something that isn't spiritual, but I want to figure out something that fills that void. But I don't know what it is, and that's the big struggle.
You might be chasing for a long time.
I think I will be. Yeah. But I think that's the but I think that ironically that the chase might be the solution. You know what I mean?
Of course it is. Else you're never going to find it.
But as in, there won't be an answer. But the solution is that you're chasing. Do you know what I mean? Like just that you're actively chasing something that to fill that void that isn't those things keeps you away from those things. So you don't have to find the thing that fills that void. You just got to be actually actively trying to avoid. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think that looking for it outside, not gonna. I don't know. You'll have to see how you go with that.
Yeah.
I believe I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Just in terms of the constitution of happiness and joy and such things, and where and how where they're actually found.
Yeah.
it's not a it's the reason why it can't. Okay, I spoke about this last time with Grayson.
Yeah.
But you've got the soul, and what the soul. Everybody is a soul.
Sure.
It's not like I have a soul. It's like I am a soul.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you have the subtle body, which is the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego.
Okay.
So you have a spiritual ego, which is who you really are, the self. Then you have a false ego. What the false ego, and then on top of that, you get the gross body, which is this thing.
Yeah.
Don't
talk that badly about yourself. It's not that gross.
What the false ego does is it allows you to believe, I am the body.
Yeah.
And when you believe that you are the body, I am James Deere, I work in mental health, all these things, these are just ideas. But it isn't really who I am. It's what I'm doing, but it's not who I am. So when I believe that I'm the body, I believe I can satisfy myself by doing bodily things. So that's using the senses to be like, that smells good. I'm going to have, I don't know, this pizza.
Yeah.
And you go and eat it, and you have one bite of pizza, and it tastes amazing. You have another bite, it's alright. By the time you finish the pizza, you're like, pizza was alright, I'm pretty full, feel a bit sick. Someone brings out another pizza, you're like, shit away from me. You know, it was a good idea, it started good, you've eaten it all. Now you feel sick, you're still not really satisfied, you're just full, and it's like a distraction from the satisfaction. It's actually the same with, you know, gambling, drugs, money, relationship, partner. It's because all you're doing is you're focusing on, okay, I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to extract happiness out of that for me. This is for me, and the consequence of material consciousness, believing I am the body, is it's all about me. So you're just going around trying to get happiness out of people, money, drugs, gambling. It's like you just suck in. You know, it's all take. These people in these suicide helplines, they're giving.
Yeah.
And that's actually spiritual, transcendental consciousness. You know,
it's interesting. Just
love to love and to give.
Yeah.
As hippy-dippy as it might sound.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I've got this weird brain that won't let me do things because of that. But I won't meditate, but I'll self-hypnotize. Like, that's ridiculous, right? They're the exact same thing. They're the same process. They just have two different names. They essentially are, though.
So, meditation, okay, what are you transcendental meditation is actually becoming free of the mind.
But the point is,
it's actually removing the mind. So self-hypnotizing, the mind's gone. Forget about that, because that ain't you. That's actually a subtle energy that's separate from you.
I understand the words you're using are different to the words I'm using, but they do the same purpose. They are to free yourself. They are to clear the head of erroneous thoughts, to allow it a rest time. That is what both things do.
You're actually doing that within the mind.
Yeah,
they have a similar effect in the fact
they have.
In fact, the one's making you a little bit easier. But self-hypnotizing, it's actually it's something that you're doing to feel better. Now, you can meditate to feel better, or you can meditate to be like, I want to find the truth so that I can actually be who I am. It's actually not a selfish activity, or it shouldn't be.
I don't see either of them as a selfish. I just saying that like I literally can't bring myself to meditate.
Yeah.
But I can't. I've learned how to self-hypnotize, and that's ridiculous. It's such a weird foible in my own skin that I know that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know that, and like it's just some words put me off things so quickly.
Yeah, totally. I'm like that. Get real judgmental about and triggered by some words.
Yeah.
And I actually I did a podcast with Grayson.
Yeah. He's in the room, by the way, for the people who can't. Yeah.
And I said a few things. What did I say? He said, are you a hippie? And I just pissed myself for a start. What do you mean by I'm a hippie? And then I said, I hate hippies. I don't hate hippies.
No.
But,
neither do I.
That's the first thing that came to my head.
Yeah. There's part of your brain that goes, no, those idiots. Fuck
them.
them. No, it's not like that. It's just that there are words like for me, I look at mental health in this way. There's an imbalance in your brain of chemicals. That's how I look at.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way to fix that best, in my opinion, which is not a doctor's opinion, but is to use whatever the doctor tells you to use,
take notes,
as well as a therapy of some description. Those two things is the best way scientifically we have proven as a format of some sort of pharmaceutical plus it doesn't work well if you don't have counselling and help to work on your mind. You can't use the drugs as a fix-all for depression. You have to put them in place with a thing of counselling. That's the way I've always been taught how to use.
Yeah. I think pharmaceutical drugs possibly have their place sometimes, and definitely
do.
Can have some benefits for the positive. I'm not sort of for or against, like you say, against addiction, not against drugs, just against addiction. I do think drugs, ideally, if everyone could not do them, it would be better. But and the counselling definitely 100% has its place. What makes me wonder is like, okay, so what is causing that imbalance in the brain, and how do we go?
Well,
beyond that?
Yeah. So my argument to that has always been, what causes cancers? Like, what causes is someone to have bad eyesight and me to have good eyesight? You know what I mean? The parts of the body genetically just don't work as well as other parts for some people. And I believe that some people's balance, some people's brains and chemicals in their brains have some trigger moments, and it's very scientifically proven that young men have huge amount of trigger moments if they're susceptible to schizophrenia, bipolar, or any kind of manic depression. If they take marijuana or mind-altering substances, it can ruin their psychosis. They can become psychotic for the rest of their life. So there are that's just because their brain was predisposed to that in the first place. There's nothing they've really done. They could do the exact same drugs that someone else did. Their best mate, and they've lived the same lifestyles the whole way through. They're the same town, but their brain was predisposed to that.
Do you want a spiritual take on that?
Yes, that's the scientific. That's what I've always felt.
Yeah. So each person, at the end of a life, so obviously probably not heard much about reincarnation and stuff like that.
Apart from my own name every day, yes.
It's been proven that at the end, some people at the age of 4 have been able to remember their past life.
Okay, we're going there, are we? Okay. Awesome,
and then they've been able to say, okay, I lived here.
Yeah.
This is my wife. I was on this plane. I died with this person at this time, and then they've actually their parents have thought they were going mental.
Yeah.
They were just stop banging on about please stop going on about this. You're freaking us out. And then after 6 years or so of this, they're like, all right, we're just going to take you there, and they've gone there and they've actually found out that
there was. I've heard these stories as well, and some of them are true, and that's. So you believe that the reincarnation part is the reason that me and your brain would work differently?
So everybody has different desires.
Yeah.
And then at the end of one life, your mind, so the mind and the brain are different. The mind is a sort of energy, so that's completely different. Mm-hmm. And the shape of that mind, and when I say the shape, that's based on desires and attachment to things, and whatever. If you've spent your whole life being focused on cats or something, this is actually going to form your body in the next life. So you go through and desires, and the only thing our soul we can do as our actual being, our actual soul can do is have desires.
Sure.
And then you get all these behaviours, and between lifetime and lifetime, you transfer behaviour. You don't transfer exact things, but you manifest behaviours based on desires in certain lifetimes, and that's why you carry these things across.
Yeah, that's definitely we're never going to convince each other on this, but that's what's great is that we're having a civilized discourse about this. That's the interesting bit to me, is because I think that a lot of bringing it back to depression and suicide and all those kind of things at the moment, a lot of the issues we're having is that we are not learning to communicate properly with each other at the moment. Yeah. That is a big issue for me, is that there is such a culture, systemic social culture, and everywhere in the world at the moment of belittling someone else's point of view. So if we were online right now, this may be a totally different conversation we're having right now. Yeah. I might be calling you a fucking moron hippie who doesn't know what they're talking about. Do some research. This site, you know what I mean? Yeah. And you could be calling me some uptight, dickhead, like who doesn't, like because this whole conversation has been done. This is how the conversations need to be done, and I think because people are getting trying to have these kind of conversations, but over the internet. And being called a dickhead, that's not helping their mental health, is it? For sure. This is the way that I think this is one of the bigger issues with mental health is that people's opinions are different, and we're not being taught at the moment how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so, I can leave here and go, that was an interesting conversation with James, and his point of view is very different to mine, but I can see where he comes from.
Yeah.
But if we had this conversation online, I'd just go, "You're a fucking idiot." You know what I mean? There is that part to it. That's really interesting. I'm
still waiting for people to start just digging into me and laying into me for someone. I mean, it's not happened yet.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's wild.
I mean, you're helping them out by just saying like that. But yeah, it's. For me, that is more important, is this conversation that we're having. We don't have to agree, but we're having the conversation. Yeah. That's more important. Yeah. I sounded like a pretentious cunt just then who was on Joe Rogan Experience. You know what I mean? That sounded more like it. I was pretending I was on Joe Rogan than...
I didn't get that come across, and it's a real compliment that you're comparing this experience to Joe Rogan.
To Joe Rogan, yeah, definitely.
Falling over deer, me sniffling and got a sore throat and drinking, and I reckon when I'm putting this down on the table, it's going poof, shaking the whole thing.
I've been trying to put it down softly, like a landing strip. Yeah,
sniffling and blowing my nose and whatever the hell else I've been doing whilst this has been going on. Sorry about that. We try our best. But no, it's been really cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I saw your notes before. Can I ask you? Can I ask you about what one of the notes is?
Yeah.
Because you've got a note under my name that I don't understand why that's there.
That one.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd heard a story about a limousine.
Oh god. Okay, so what's written down is date raped. And I mean, okay, yeah. I know the story that.
Eyesight.
Yeah, I do have good. I do. Oh right. Yeah. I got roofied. They're very different to being date raped.
Is that not the same thing?
No, because I wasn't raped. Oh. That's a very important part of date raping culture. Is that I wasn't raped. What happened is I lost a bet because I lose bets all the time. I lost a bet that I would fly to America as a reverend. So I got ordained online. You know how you
fly as a reverend?
You know how you get ordained online?
Ordained?
What does
that mean?
Become a reverend.
Okay, right.
Yeah, you can become a reverend somewhat legitimately via the internet, which is ridiculous. To the point that you can legally call yourself a reverend. To that level. It's got no spiritual meaning to it because it's just a certificate. I think the history behind it allegedly is that it was a way of draft dodging. Was this letter service you'd write in the Vietnam War and you'd apply and you'd send in your money and you'd get the certificate back saying that you're a reverend.
That's the structure of the entire Christian church. Yeah. That's just how it works. 100%. They're not spiritual. They just give them a certificate.
100%.
Right.
But it's taken away the facade of even trying to be spiritual. These guys, and so you become a reverend online. They send you a certificate if you pay for it, it's enough legitimacy in New Zealand that I can get a celibacy license via that.
Celibacy license?
Celebrancy.
Is that similar
that's celibacy license. You don't need a license for that. You just don't have sex.
Right.
But I can marry people.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got ordained online for free as part of this bet. And then I flew to America with Reverend on my tickets and also on Reverend on my hotel rooms that I had. And then on my first night in Vegas, I ended up making quite a significant amount of money. I made $2,500 American playing poker. I was playing pretty well that day. And then I was playing at this table with these guys who I'd describe as dude bros, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
I think I do.
Frat boys. backwards cap.
Yeah, all right. I didn't know what that meant. No idea.
Like popped collar like this,
okay.
like with the Ralph Lauren kind of symbol there, wearing kind of, you know, the kind of guys now, the preppy white boys from America movies. Yeah, they were like, "Hey man, you're gonna come out drinking with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I didn't go back to my hotel room and put the money away, which is the sensible option.
Yeah.
And I got, so I get in this limousine with these guys, and they give me a drink, and I drink the drink, and that's literally the last thing I remember of that night. And I wake up naked outside of my hotel of Vegas, which, for a lot of irony, was called, I was staying at the Hard Rock Hotel, which is, there was nothing hard or rockish about me at that moment, when I woke up on the curb naked. And I walk into the hotel because that's the thing in that situation. You don't really know what to do with yourself because you're naked, and there's so many questions about the story that amaze me. Is that why wasn't I picked up with the police? I was naked on a curb, passed out. Why? Why didn't that happen? Like, how long was I out there for? Because I don't know how long I was out there for. I don't know any of these kind of things. But what I do know is I walked into the reception. And no one gave a shit. Like, it must happen so regularly that everyone, the other guests at the hotel were a bit like, oh, that's a bit weird. But the actual workers at the hotel, like...
How did you walk in?
Like this, obviously.
Just on the front?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about the back. Let's go full front, you know. I went full front. I went to the counter, and they had no issue with it. They were like, I was like, I'm so sorry. And I told them the story, and they're like, yeah, don't worry. This happens quite regularly.
What?
Yeah. What's the name of the room? And then when I said, Reverend Rhian Wood-Hill, and they were like, their whole demeanour changed from being these kind of, yeah, we'll help you out, we'll get you into a room, Sarah, you know, we want to stop this embarrassment for you, to this, oh, you're a piece of shit, kind of like, just instantly thought I was like, they thought that, like, there was, like, I could see them, like, looking like this, looking for the camera. Like, they thought this was some sort of punk show that they were on, because, like, as soon as they saw the name Reverend, they were like, oh, this is going to be some wind-up. But no, it's just my life.
Yeah.
That's just how I live my life. But yeah, that was an interesting trip. Yeah.
And they robbed you as well?
Yeah, they took all the money.
Yeah.
They had my credit cards, but luckily I had those prepaid travel cards.
Yeah.
And so I'd maxed them out the day before, so it didn't matter. Like, I'd been in LA for like 6 days beforehand, and Vegas was like the last 3 days.
Yeah.
So all the money I had was on me was in cash. So they stole all that, and I had a little bit left in my room, just enough to get me through. But yeah, it was not a pleasant experience.
No.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it.
Nah.
Oh man.
But yeah, I was just like reading that. I was like, ugh.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense of that. We've cleared up some terminology for me.
Yeah. So I got roofied. Oh, I don't know if I was roofied. Oh, yeah, I was just drugged. Like, yeah, just drugged. Yeah. Date raped. I mean, it probably was a date rape drug, and drug used for that. But I just saw that next to my life, and I'm like, I've never done that. I've never had that happen to me, and it took me ages. I've been watching that until you said the limousine. I was like, oh, it's that story.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't do that much research. If you research this guy, this all comes up pretty
quick.
fresh on Google.
Pretty quickly. Yeah,
so if you want to check him out on Google, just check that out.
Yeah. It's quite simple because I've just got a very unique name. I'm the only one with it. So
it comes up right at the top.
Yeah.
But
what was the other thing you said also like that?
Oh no, it's not that bad. I didn't dig that deep. Go a bit deeper. I don't know. There's probably all sorts on there.
Oh, there isn't too much. Yeah.
Don't Google my name either. My God.
Well, you've got quite a commonish name though, right? So James Deere isn't.
I don't know if it is. Yeah, there's probably a few of us on Facebook.
Yeah.
I've done that before. Never met one, but.
Yeah. I don't think there's literally anyone else in the world with my name. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty, like, yeah. I mean, I'm a unique snowflower, James.
Yeah.
Like most of my... Snowflake. Like most of my generation, thank you very much. You're my generation, right?
I don't know. I'm 30.
Oh, yeah. 29, so exactly the right age.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. I knew you were 30. Happy birthday! I saw that online last night when I got home.
I think we've gone on for a while.
Yeah, we have.
I don't even know how long we've gone on for. I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Check out his comedy show, How I Met Your Father, Rhian Wood-Hill, Rhian Wood-Hill. Have you got anything else to check out?
I've got a new show coming out about the walk. It's called I'm Gonna Be brackets Rhian Wood-Hill, because that's the. If you don't actually know, the song's not called 500 miles. It's called I'm Gonna Be brackets 500 miles. That's really annoying. Yeah. I didn't know that until...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the song isn't called 500 miles. Didn't... Yeah. Anyway. Also, by the way, I met them. Really nice blokes. Scotland, you done well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two twins. Met them at the end of the walk.
Oh, the Proclaimers.
Yeah, I met the Proclaimers at the end of the walk. They gave me backstage passes and I got to meet them.
That's cool.
They were really lovely. Sweet. Yeah. But yeah, no, great.
Awesome. Well, it's wicked having you here.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah.
If you enjoyed that, check us out. Subscribe to YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. You know, all that stuff. At Break the Chain Blog on Instagram. Cool.
Great.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Cheers, bro.
Thanks for...